Hello. Well, I thought why not since everyone else is doing it. I'll take the questions, the 10 questions that have been different RV people have been asked on the YouTube channels, and I'll throw my 2 cents in. I'm not full timing yet, but we've done a fair bit of RVing and have our own answers to these questions. I've had 3 RVs and hopefully a 4th one. I had a truck camper I built myself. If you see my history video, you'll see it there. Then we had a Class C for 9 years, I guess, maybe almost 10. And we've had this Class A now for 7 and change. And when we retire, we're looking at getting something newer that we can live in and maybe spend some time on the road. So there's hopefully a 4th RV. And so we'll look at those at different times here. So the first thing was, if you could change one thing about your RV, what would it be? If I take my truck camper, I wish I'd built it with a curved roof. Would have been so much better to keep the water out of it. And secondly, that some of the walls that I was trying to save money, I built with aspenite instead of plywood, which was a mistake. With the Class C we had, there was very limited storage. Certainly there was almost no storage underneath that vehicle, which was unfortunate. So you always had stuff, you were climbing over it and having to move it from here to there. I think that was probably the thing that was hard for that one. But the one we have now, it's a very nice RV in so many ways, and for weekending and month-long trips and so forth, I think it's pretty good. I guess the thing I'd wish in this one was it wasn't as old, that because you get into rust and other things that degrade and so on. I wish the generator was working and I didn't have to condemn it and mess around with that. So, but the actual living in it it's a pretty nice RV, I must confess, and there's not a lot of things in there I could sit here and say off the top that, but I've had to fix a lot of stuff on that. It's cost me a lot of money. And I think that would be something that would have been nice if that hadn't been the case. And I guess when we won't really know, because we haven't really bought the 4th one yet, so we'll let that one go for this question. Number 2, something that we did not expect with respect to going RVing. I think one of the things that's really cool, I guess this happens when you're traveling anyway, is you get to these places, wherever it is, and the air smells different and the sounds are different, and you've done that, and you've done it by driving, not by flying in an airplane or something like that. It's done in this progressive way, and with the big windows, the landscape, and just seeing some of these places that you read about for years and years and years, decades, and now you drive in and there they are. Or as I always said to my wife, you look out through the windshield of your RV and you see the damnedest signs, like we're from north of Toronto, and you see a sign that says Jacksonville, Florida on it, or the Kennedy Space Center or whatever, and that's not a sign you see every day, for example, and so that was pretty neat. I think also it's interesting, I haven't had because we don't full-time and get around quite the same, that we haven't really had the chance to meet as many people. And I've been able to travel more because my wife works, and so I've been going with my sister and stuff like that. And we do talk to some people. I've got to know some people a little bit for a day, had a nice visit with them, and that's been very nice. But we went to the Hershey RV show, we were there to look at the RVs and stuff, but I couldn't get over how many conversations we got into and talking with people and stuff. It was amazing. And you'd think that at least in some respects that would roll over. So we'll see. But I kind of looking forward to seeing how we fit together there on the road. The deciding factor on the purchase of the RV, in the case of the truck camper, I wanted to travel, and if I built my own camper, I could do it for the price of the gas and the camp fees. which was far cheaper than hotels and road food by far. You go to a hotel and you're paying, it's 12 or 20 bucks even just for breakfast. And I'm not saying they're charging too much. I'm just saying that for me, that was too much. The second one, I thought we'd seen older Class C's, and it had the upholstery in it. It was more of a home. It had the carpet. It had, wood paneling and whatever. And it just made me feel more like an established camper instead of, something I built in the garage. And so we did that. And that was a deciding factor on that one. And of course, price always is a factor. I mean, you only have so many dollars for these things most of the time for all of us. And so that's a factor too. The next one we bought, because our Class C was getting too old. It was 30 years old. It was rust and this, and that, and the other. Was too many problems. And I wanted air conditioning. I wanted a bigger RV. I wanted more storage, and things like that. The RV we got actually was a little nicer, a little better than we anticipated. But in the end, it had most of the features and or the ones I could, get fixed and make them work. And the one that we're thinking of for full timing, we want to be able to put a bathtub in so my wife can alleviate her back pain. And that limits us to the models, but we do think we've got something right now where there was a model where we can do that. We think that the retrofit wouldn't be unreasonably expensive. And so that's certainly the deciding factor on that. Plus the size of it and the fact that it has to have a laundry and a king bed and lots of storage. And so we're looking, at a gas unit, but something in the neighborhood of 40 feet. So it's a good sized vehicle. My favorite camp meal. Well, we don't camp. We eat just as well in the RV, or arguably better than we do at home. So for dinner, it's usually steak and vegetable salad, whatever. I'm not a big restaurant guy in the States, and even the restauranting I've been doing in Canada, which is nice. You're used to your food that you like, but we do a lot of that because we are so long on the road, because we're commuting. In my case, it's a 2-hour one-way commute. So you leave at 6 in the morning, you're getting home at 8 o'clock at night many times. Well, maybe you can do it, but I can't. And I'm cross-eyed and I need to grab something. But I really do find when I camp, when I travel in the States or whatever with the RV, that I cook my own food, and I actually enjoy doing that in the RV. I have it set up for it, and I like that. Must-see RV destination. I think that's a great question. For the truck camper, it was just to get away at all. We went to the Adirondacks and New Hampshire and did some hiking there with a buddy, and that was really good. We really enjoyed that. They're not that far from here. I don't think that was a type of vehicle I would consider going big distance with, but it was just the neat idea of being able to get away in something I built myself for $700 or $800. The second one, we started to travel further, and we got a chance to go to the Florida Keys. That was amazing. I really enjoyed. We didn't stay very long there, but it was still amazing to drive that highway. And for lucky, there was nobody. The road wasn't full of cars. It was really quite nice. We got also out along the St. Lawrence shore all the way to Forno and Gaspé. That was beautiful out that way. And I got a chance to go to Gettysburg and some of the Civil War sites in Northern Virginia, which I've been reading about as an amateur historian on all this for many years. And to actually be on the sites where these things happen was pretty amazing. So that vehicle in many ways was a discovery vehicle. It was wonderful, and we really enjoyed it. The one that we have today, we got down to Charleston, and on one trip went all the way up to St. Paul, Minnesota with it to see the Hill House and some other things out that way. We've been to the east twice now, and that's also a big, huge, beautiful drive. So those things certainly have happened. But I think the go-to destination, when I look at it, if I'm full-timing, then of course it's a bit of a broader scope. I certainly want to see Yellowstone National Park, and I want to go there for like 5 or 6 weeks and experience it. We'll probably be camping outside somewhere, but whatever. The drive into the park and experience it as we see, or however way it's actually going to work. I think that's a park I really want to see. Glacier as well, but I think Yellowstone with the roading and so forth is just a little bit easier to manage. And by connection, Grand Teton as well. I'd like to go to Alaska. I'd like to see the Canadian Rockies, places like that, from the standpoint of natural wonders. And then from a human side, I've of course been fascinated with the space program of the Americans for many years. I'm a walking encyclopedia on the early years. So I think ultimately I'd like to get down to Houston and take the the tour they have there and see the facility as much as they're prepared to share it. And it's be pretty special for me. Something that I, in my head, I might do my life over again. I might have invested enough to try and become a flight controller. Would have been certainly a career that I think would have tremendously appealed to me at the time. I didn't have the courage to try for that at the time, but that's how life is. And things like that. And I think one of the things that often happens if you watch these channels is that the things that it's the stuff you don't expect. It's the stuff that when you go on a certain day and you're going to go somewhere and you think, oh, well, and it turns out to be just amazing. And it's a day you don't forget, or a week, or a place you go. And I think I'm also looking forward to those experiences, to going to some kind of place, a wildlife sanctuary or whatever it is, where it just turns out to be so much better than you ever expected it would be. And, you know, I think I'm just kind of looking forward to the choices and knowing that we're not doing it all in 1 year. That we're doing this, we're going to say kind of, well, here's where we're going from here to there, what makes sense, and enjoy it, because we really do need to enjoy it, because that's the whole point. Favorite thing about RVing? I think for myself, I've always enjoyed the concept of it. Even as a child, when I first saw them in the first Winnebago Braves going down the road, I thought the idea of having all your stuff and getting to the campsite and expanding out and living there, and then when you're fed up with it, you go somewhere else, just really appealed to me. And so I've always liked that. I think, but I think if we want to extend this a little bit from that concept, I find when I'm with my wife in the RV, it's a smaller area. We're less apt to go to different rooms. We talk more, we visit more, we're together more. I like that. I like what it does for us. And I like managing the systems. I like the engineering of the RV. I like, assuming it's all working properly, I like to manage the power and the water and the systems and try to maximize it and everything else, especially if we're off grid. I think I find that a lot of fun. And still live, the way you want to live. My least favorite thing about RVing, I would say breakdowns, especially when it happens in the middle of, I had transmission failure with my Class C one time on a trip, and unfortunately we ran into a good fella and he got us going within a couple of days, and that was great. But it's still kind of disappointing. And of course, the cost of the repairs. I mean, you fully expect to pay gas and campsites and stuff. But if you have a slightly older RV, it just seems like it's just a money pit. It just seems like there's always something breaking or something has to be fixed or whatever. Now, the other side of that is, it's like the programmer's disease, where it's never finished and you're constantly adding, little systems and features to the RV, and that can gobble up a lot of money. So you have to be pretty careful. And I know if we go on the road, I mean, we'll be able to do it, but I can't spend $200 or $300 a month on toys. That won't be possible. And so one of the things I'll be able to do if something like this happens, we talk it over first and say, okay, here's what's going on. Here's what I think it is, or here's what we could do to make this better or whatever. And talk it over so that my wife and I are both on the right page. And she's really good sometimes at, putting holes. And I say, well, listen, why don't we do it this way? And I go, oh, okay, I never thought of that. And we save ourselves some money. So, and that's a positive, not a negative. Must have on the next RV. Well, I think for us, because the next RV for us will be the one we hope to spend some time in. So I think for me, it is the facility to be able to put the bathtub in and retro that. And I think we found a unit that will do that. Hopefully we'll be able to make that work. We'll just have to see how it happens. But I think that's the big thing for us. Now, of course, within that arithmetic, we want to have a Class A RV. We want to go down the road with the big window and the comfortable seats and being able to get up and go to the bathroom or whatever, make a sandwich, lie on the bed, talk on a phone, whatever it is, without having to stop and get in the trailer and put the slides out if it's tight inside and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to see North America from the front seat or the back seat of a pickup truck. Okay, I'm sorry, that's not my plan. I worked too hard for too long, and that's just not what I want to do. So within that, we're doing a Class A, and then if I'm going to do this full-time, I wanted a Class A from the kind of manufacturer that I respect. Now, obviously, there's probably other good ones out there. I'm not pretending to run. I'm not a consumer's report. But I've become very impressed with Newmar. And when I looked up their biggest gas units, the Baystars seem to be a little bit small and limited in the needs that we think we would have. We're big people. I'm 6'4" and 240 pounds. I don't fit in little places the same way. And so the thought was to go with something like the Canyon Star, which is 40 feet long, at least the bigger ones are. And that gives you a lot of features, and it's as long as the shorter diesels are. You are a little bit limited in carrying, and you don't have the storage quite the same, but it's still a beautiful vehicle. But the main point is that I have profound respect for how Newmar makes things with the thicker walls, the better insulation, the double pane windows, and just the Amish quality of the cabinetry and so forth. I just feel that something like that going down the road 10 years from now or whatever it's going to be is still going to be a pretty fine RV. Obviously, that won't completely limit problems with the appliances and everything. But if nothing else, the appliances in our 20-year-old Class A, for the most part, are working fine. Now, obviously, when you go on the road, you're going to be using them more, so we'll have to see. But that's certainly the way we're going right now anyway. What's my favorite adult beverage? Well, I don't have one because I don't drink alcohol or do anything else recreationally like that. So my beverage, aside from water and milk, is cola, and primarily Coca-Cola, although I don't care for American Coca-Cola. The Canadian Coca-Cola tastes different, and I like it a lot better. It strikes me that when they switched to New Coke, that the Americans stayed with it and the Canadians didn't. That's how it reminds me of the taste. So when I'm in the United States, I drink Pepsi. And a Gatorade if I'm hiking, things like that. Orange juice. I know I'm boring. That's how it is. And I'm an adult, and that's my adult beverage. And finally, my favorite indoor accessory. If I'm in the RV, let's just take our current RV right now. It's probably the best example of that. Well, let me just go back. The truck camper, we had an interesting thing with that. The table, we had the hot plate and the electric barbecue, and we ran and we cooked. So we had the cooking system right exactly beside where we ate. And we just pick up our stuff and come in and cook. It was wonderful. That worked pretty well. With the other RV, I guess we had a little oven. Actually, it's right there. That oven there. We bought that. We brought that with us to be able to cook some things because we didn't have an oven in that particular RV. And the other thing I had in that one was I had an air conditioner that we mounted in the window when we're stopped to cool it off, which was also a nice accessory. And this one, again, with more things built in, I have a fake electric type kitchen, like a stove that has a fake fireplace in the bottom of it. And we love to set that up and plug it in, and it just gives a great ambiance. And we always wanted an RV that had a fireplace in it, like a artificial electric one. And the 3914 Canyon Store does have that, but we can't put the bathtub in that, and we put the bathtub in the 3953. So then we probably use this type of artificial fireplace to create the ambiance, and it does a beautiful job, and it puts out some heat too, which is nice. I'll use the George Foreman grill to grill inside if I don't feel like making a barbecue. That'll depend on the day. I don't know. So there you go. There's 10 questions, hopefully 10 answers. This is a wonderful hobby, and I sincerely hope, with all the pressures and on our environment and everything else, selfishly, that if I retire in a year or two, whatever it's going to be, that we can go off for the next 10 or so years and enjoy this hobby and not have problems with that, because it's just something that we've been so wanting to do for so long, and I'm hoping that it'll play out. With that, thank you very much. We'll see you down the road.